Good evening, everybody. This is Deanna with Food Bank Beautiful, and it is Sunday the 26th, and for the first time in about 10 days, I actually am pretty sure I know the date, so woohoo to me. All right, if you are new to this channel, I mostly do food bank hauls, and then I cook with my food bank groceries, and we spend a lot of time talking about how to be good stewards of what you get from your food bank, right? Okay, every month I try to do a this is what I canned, and I went to pull out April and May, and whatever I canned in April is gone. There is nothing in my cupboards that has an April label on it, which means whatever I canned in April, I've gone through already. Now, I have an entire massive counter of what I canned in May. And once I pulled it out and looked at it, it was like, wow, use some words in there for me, okay? You know what my vocabulary is when I'm off camera, so just fill it in because it is crazy. I am going to do a pan of that, and then I'm going to come back and we're going to talk about each thing that I canned. Okay? All right, this is exciting YouTube content. All right, I expect you guys to stay seated in your chairs, no getting up to run to the toilet, no letting the dog out, no getting ice cream for the hubby or the spouse. You guys stay stuck in your seats for me today. No, seriously, I'm joking. There are so many things more important than what I canned in the month of May, please. If you're not having fun, get up and go. But if you're having fun, stay with me and let's take a look at it and see what I've done in the month of May. All right. Okay, the camera cut out, but I did watch the video and I saw what it cut out, and it's only 2 items. Funny, 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 I think. Yes. Okay. So I also made brownie mix, and I think you guys have probably watched that video already where I made some brownies for a guy going on a road trip, and I just love it. I love having it on hand. It's so cheap to make. So I made 4 jars of this, and then I also dehydrated some zucchini, and I was getting ready to show you that, and the camera kind of cut out. Now oh, that's my celery. Where is my zucchini? Oh, well, just trust me. There's a can of dried zucchini somewhere on this counter. All right, that's it. I'm going to go ahead and post it. Flaws, babble, the whole 9 yards. All right, so let's go ahead and watch the rest of the video, and then you guys give me a count, and I'll let you know who's the closest when I read the comments in a day or 2. All right, ta-ta. This is my countertop, and we're going to go over all of these things, but I just want you to see kind of an overview of what I have been able to do in the month of May. And please bear in mind that I have had some significant health issues, and I have a lot of things on my plate, and I am not a superstar. All right, I take a lot of naps, I take a lot of breaks, I have to portion out what I can do on a daily basis, and this is still what I got done in the month of May. Now I'm going to come back and we're going to talk about everything, okay? Now you guys can see, let me move my water bottle. You guys can see everything we're going to talk about. So if you want to take a guess of how many jars and or preserved products are on my counter, pick a number, and I'll tell you at the end how many jars there are, and we see who comes closest. Put your numbers in first, though, in the comments. Don't be cheaters, you guys. Oh, I'm having camera issues. Hard to say where this cut off at. I think I know. So, some of you may remember that I got a size 10, 2 size 10 cans of jalapenos, and one is sitting right over there on my counter, and one I took and recanned into jalapenos. So I have 4 jars of these. 3 of these are nice and sealed and on my counter, and let's just admire those. And 1 is in the refrigerator. This is considered rebel canning because I took a canned product, emptied it, canned it as if it were fresh, and I don't know if that's, I don't think that's USDA. I'll always tell you when I'm not exactly following perfectly a USDA canning procedure. I would say that I do follow USDA about 95% of the time. And when I'm doing a canning video for you guys, I will always tell you if this is USDA approved or if I've, you know, gone off the tracks. All right, so we have the jalapenos. That was fun. Another fun thing that I made is some rhubarb blueberry jam. And it is perfect. Look at that. That is gorgeous. And I just love the color. Tell me in the comments if you don't just want a can to have colored pretty things on your shelves. Now, for this, I have 2 pints left, including this one, and 2 little half pints. And I have given away to some family members some of my jam. So I don't have all of my jam here. I also made a strawberry rhubarb jam. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? It's so nice, right? In this, I have 1 pint and 2 little half pints. And I have given some of that away to neighbors or family. Now, the next thing is not sexy. It is not sexy. Nobody's going to think this is sexy, but you know what? On a night where you don't want to cook, it is sexy as hell, people. Sexy as hell. These are jars, and I call them my baked bean mix, and it's a variety of navy, pinto, and I don't remember the other one. Oh, kidneys. Navy, kidney, and pinto beans. And I canned 4 jars of these, and I currently have 3, so I've already used 1. I make soup out of these. Sometimes I forget that they're my baked bean mix, and I'll make refried beans out of them. I'll make soup out of them, but mostly I keep them on hand for my baked bean recipe, which is so yummy. I think I've shared it with you guys. It's lovely. Now, the next thing I have canned, and I didn't realize I had this much. Let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let me count again. Oh, I'm giving you a heads up on where to start your counting. Is that cheating? Okay, let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, I have 7 quarts of this left, which means I have used 1 quart because usually when I make this, I make it into 4 quarts. This is chicken broth. Now, the baked beans, let me go back. The jalapenos were Food Bank. The strawberry, blueberry, and rhubarb, all of that was Food Bank. The beans that I canned from my baked beans were Food Bank. This chicken stock, this is also Food Bank. It's either leftover chicken bones or, actually that's all it would be. All right, so I have 7 jars of that. And then I also have, and I've used 1 jar, and 1 jar broke in the canner. It was the first time that's ever happened to me, and I think it's my own fault. I think the bone broth was too hot when I put it in the jar. Stuck it in the canner. The can looked, you know, great. But when I opened the canner later, the jar was broken in half. My husband helped me clean up that mess. So, you know, he's yummy. Okay, so I have 2 jars left of this bone broth. And you can see that it is just this fabulous white collagen product. And let's hold it up to a chicken stock and you can see the difference. Okay, so what I do sometimes when I have enough bones is I will make chicken stock, 4 quarts of chicken stock. And then I will take those bones and I will throw them back in my pressure canner and I will pressure cook them for hours. And the bones, they just sort of crumble and melt. I strain all of that and I make the bone broth, and it makes the most luxurious soup. So that takes care of that. Oh my goodness. Now, I don't know how many jars I have, but you saw them on the counter. I actually do remember I made the equivalent of 26 quarts of potatoes, and those potatoes I got at the Well. Okay, that is not a food bank, but it is a place where anybody can go. It doesn't matter who you are. You make a donation, and usually you can pick up cases of items. And I picked up a box, a 50-pound box of white potatoes. I canned 26 quarts, and it wasn't even half. It was like a third of the potatoes. But I had already given our friend about 2/3 of that box, 2/3 to a half of that box. So I canned a bunch of potatoes. Aren't those pretty? Those are beautiful, right? I don't have any problem complimenting myself over canning well done. But I'll also tell you when I fail. I've showed you my fails, guys. I also canned them for the first time in pint size. And I didn't really want to do that, but I didn't have any more jars. So it was kind of a necessity. So we got that done. And then this is one of my favorite things that I canned. This is blueberry rhubarb syrup. And you can see that it is a syrup. It's a nice, thick, gorgeous syrup. Look at that color. Look at that color. Isn't that beautiful? And I think I have 6, 7, 8, 9. I still have 10 jars of this. This is like, I don't know. I don't know. I have one brother-in-law I would be willing to give this to, and he's my husband's oldest brother in Canada. And he's my, okay, I can't say that I have favorites because he also has 2 sisters that I absolutely adore. So I'm going to amend my selfish ways, and I'm going to say I would be willing to give jars of those to 3 of my husband's siblings. His brother in Canada, who I love, and his 2 gorgeous sisters. One lives about an hour away from us, and one lives in England. Now, I want to talk about some of the other food preservation I did. And this is not sexy, but here we go. You ready? These are my eggshells. Right now, I have 26 chickens. And about, let me do a mental count. 5 and 7 is 12, 13. I have about 13 chickens that I think are laying eggs. I have at least 1 rooster. I might have a couple more roosters. I just can't tell yet. And then I have the 4 itty bitties that you see in Grandma's room every night. Right now I'm looking at them out of the corner of my eye on my deck, and I just want to scoop them up and smoochy on them. But they don't want to be smooched on. No. When they go outside, it's like Lord of the Flies. Okay? So anyway, I toast their eggshells. And then I crumble them, put them in the oven, and then I don't have to buy oyster shell. And even though, you know, you think, oh, that's a little thing, that doesn't really make a difference, just go buy a bag of oyster shell. I could, but my budget is limited, and there are other things I want to spend my money on than oyster shell. So this is what I do. I keep a big quart jar. I keep a lid on it so there's no fly issues. When I have enough, I stick it in the oven. I toast them. I run them through my blender for half a second, and then I feed it to my chickens, and they love it. Okay? If my husband irritates me, I'll top his salad with eggshells. I won't. Okay? He's yummy. Now, let's talk about the dehydrating I've been doing, and I am loving my little dehydrator. I turned it off for this video, but right now it has the last of the mushrooms that I got. Remember, I got that case of mushrooms from the Well? I made a couple of meals. I made spaghetti and a breakfast with the mushrooms, and then I dehydrated the rest. So this is what I have for dehydrated mushrooms, and a full 5 racks will fill a quart-sized jar. So I have 1 quart, and then I have 2 pints of mushrooms. Okay? Love these. I used them in the spaghetti that I made. That was so delicious. I also took a lot of the carrots. You saw that I got a ton of carrots at the well. I crumble them in my blender and then I dehydrate them and I throw these into soup. I love them. I think I'm going to powder these though and throw them into my smoothies. At least I'm going to try it. We'll see. I also, looks like, I have this jar of celery. And this jar of celery, I threw it in my soup. And it was just a little bit chewy. I did not enjoy it. So I am going to grind this down into a powder. And then when I make soup, I'll treat it like a seasoning. I'll throw in a teaspoon or half a teaspoon and we'll just use it that way. Or I'll throw it in my smoothies, but I don't love celery, so I might not. Now, what I'm really loving, what is really floating my boat, is the greens. And I apparently have 3 jars of greens going. So here's a jar that I haven't crushed at all. Needs to go in the blender, but I haven't had a chance. Here's a jar also that I kind of semi-crushed with my hands, but it needs to go through the blender. And this is the final product. And this, people, I throw it in everything. So this can be spinach, kale, arugula, Swiss chard, anything like that. I do not care. I grind it up, I make a powder, and then I put it in things, and I love it. If you guys are doing that, woohoo to you. If you're not, think about trying it. The other thing that I do, and I guess this is the last thing, I'm looking to make sure I didn't miss anything, is the oranges. When I get an abundance of oranges, I dry them. Look at that. Oh my God, just to smell those, that's my lid falling to the floor. They're absolutely just crisp. Crispy, crispy. And when I make smoothies, I throw 3 or 4 of those into the Vitamix. And you get this beautiful, fresh citrus flavor, peel and all, you guys. And it is fantastic. I might run all of these or some of these into a powder. I have 1 jar of powder over there. Let me grab it. Let's take a look at it. Into this. Oh my God, it smells so good. All right, and then I'm going to grab one more thing. This is not something that I canned in May or preserved in May, but I want you to see it. I may have showed it to you months ago, but I want to show it to you again. Stay there. Don't go anywhere. You don't need ice cream or anything yet. You'll be okay. I'll be right back. This is a vegetable mix. Celery, I don't even remember, carrots, tomatoes, I think that's it. But this is so nice. And I throw that into soups and stews. But I might make a powder out of it because it's easier to throw a powder in than it is to have the chunks. Okay, that is everything, you guys. I hope you're kind of, you know, impressed a little bit, a tiny bit, maybe. I'm pretty impressed with myself. That is a massive amount of food that I have preserved. Now, this food stays on my counter. I use it all the time. I rotate, so I use what's back, you know, March or April. I don't actually, there's nothing on my counters in April. Whatever I canned in April, I have gone through. I do have some December, January, February, and March, and mostly those are beans. And there might be, I think that's it. I think it's beans and some fruit like vanilla apples and some vanilla oranges. So, do what you can. A little bit goes a long way. Be good stewards of what you have. And you know I'm going to say it because